pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes, please, from last meeting. Have first, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. We opposed. Thank you. Department of Motor Vehicles. Person,
Second. Well, I appreciate the support of this resolution. This will help alleviate some of our longer lines of pain. We're actually back to our numbers prior to COVID, so it's a good thing because there's revenue-making positions as it is, so your support would be greatly appreciated.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Resolution 2, resolution authorizing execution of an intermunicipal agreement enforcing policing measures, mobile fuel calibration. Need a motion in check.
Second.
Have a first and a second. Yes.
This is, I just like to comment, a good example of shared services, cooperation with our neighboring cities, and good work. So,
Right.
I think that's good.
We'll save this one. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Setting a standard work days and reporting for elected and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 4, is a resolution raising the pay rate for election of inspectors for the county of Oswego. Going to be an increase from expected pay by $50 to $250 is base pay per election.
I'm going to make the motion to move this forward until that.
Not second. Any other discussion?
Prior to Frank, I think it's important that the recognition of the long, hard days.
Oh, yeah.
It could be very difficult at times.
Yeah. I gotta go last. All right.
I'd just like to say that it's a good move on their part. I think you're well overdue and
Right.
great to see it happen.
Just a quick question. Your budget or your memo says it'll affect the 2026 budget. Does this not take effect until 26 or will it take effect right away?
Take effect immediately.
What about money in the budget this year?
We don't, we think we're okay because we had a very small
Oh,
We didn't even have workers who were really voting, our staff were really voting on policy.
So assuming we know how to use a calculator.
okay, good, thank you.
That's okay.
Right, yeah, that's okay.
No, I'm up. I looked the resolution over it, yeah. On the tip of the iceberg, it looks like we're doing a great thing here, moving it up $50, but it's still below minimum wage. Okay, and I will not be supporting this on the floor. I will argue it on the floor that it should be minimum wage. Sorry, these people are working long hours. You're asking people to do a job that everybody in this country says the elections are the most important thing that happens, that people get a voice in. And you need people there. You need people there all day long. Don't sit there for 15 hours, 16 hours. And see how, because there's times when there's nobody there at all. But yet you're gonna pay these people less than minimum wage to do that. And I will not be supporting it for that reason. I think it should be minimum wage. Now, I'm getting two different numbers on minimum wage. Is minimum wage $15.50 or $15.40? Anybody know the exact number for New York State right now?
My understanding of looking it up was 1550. When we put the proposal together, we set it at 250 by taking into account the threshold for taxable income. If we raise the minimum wage to exactly minimum wage, then they actually make less for the day than minimum wage. You have to raise it substantially more, and if the legislature is going to do that, we are asked to accept it. You have to raise it substantially more in order to get their take-home pay to that rate. So we set it at this rate because it literally puts almost all of them in $10 at taxable threshold.
And taxable threshold is an individual decision that you have to make, saying, am I going to make too much money if I take this job? Okay? And I myself would say, you know what? You're going to pay me minimum wage. I'll take the tax. Okay? But don't think I'm going to take the jobs. Okay? So I'm not going to. The point is, minimum wage is what these people should be paid. I will argue with that on the floor, and appreciate you moving it up to 250. Yes, it's still, in my eyes, is not enough for what we want these people to do and how important that job is that they do. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. GC 5 is a resolution denying administrative correction and tax refund of credit property law 554 and 556 regarding real property located on Route 8 Hamilton Street, number 8, Hamilton Street, New Mexico. Would you like to explain?
Sure, yeah. The letter that I include goes over it as well,
I
but,
make a motion to discuss.
Yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead.
So yeah, the letter does kind of explain it mostly, but really this process of administrative corrections is for kind of factual errors. A building was there, wasn't there, things of that nature. When it comes to an opinion of how valuable something is, that's a judicial area. That's why you go through a complete process to challenge your assessment. This is one of those situations where the assessor who's there now is not the one who was there in 2022 when it was first assessed, the building that was built. But I double checked with her and she said based on what information they had at the time, she would have probably made the same decision on what to assess it at. So it's up to the property owner to let the assessor know when something's wrong, and they waited 3 years to do it.
Thank you for the clarification.
Of course.
Any other discussion? Authorizing like bond. Yeah, estimated $500,000 to cover expenses.
The motion to move this forward.
Motion second.
Yes, so this is the budget modification I have been discussing in the prior meetings. We're down to around probably $350,000 left. We're averaging about $120,000 per pay period. So doing the math, I do think we will have excess grant fund fees coming in, which I can use to help support the legal fee line. Those will not be here realistically until probably late fall, early winter. So to get us through the end of the year, we will need an additional $550,000, I'm anticipating.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. PC7, resolution authorizing the reimbursement and relocations off filter. And by the county of Oswego. Second. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. PCA, resolution authorizing execution with stipulation of settlement in order regarding the Swindle. Arbitral LLC, City of Oswego, PT, and AL tax authority procedures.
I'll make the motion.
First, second. Just one.
I think this is good to see it done for taxpayers. You know, there was a lot of discussion on how this could go, or one way or the other.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next person. 724.
I make the motion to move forward.
Second. Richard,
This is following the recommendations of Napoleon Skolnick regarding that litigation. They were retained by the legislature, generics litigation, alleging wholesale price fraud and other allegations, and this is the recommendation.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Next, we're going to the reporting departments. Terry, Kevin, take yours.
Just hot off the presses, if anybody had a driver's exam today, it's canceled and moved due to the air quality issue today, but all 3 locations are shut down in our county today, Watertown as well. There's that, but they have been rescheduled for next. Our numbers are looking pretty decent. I don't have, as always, the whole month isn't complete yet. So what we're looking like is we are probably about, I don't know, I would say about 600 transactions above last year at this time, so for this month. So that's pretty good. Still have 3 days. DMV is looking decent. The position that you're in this committee has been approved by the full list will definitely help. I just want to let you know, start training. We're going to train in Oswego, and then we will move out for a very smaller offices. The reason for that is, believe it or not, every office has different transactions. So in Pulaski, they do very different transactions than they do in the single office. It's just the location and what people are bringing in, and you know, you might get more ATV or boat registrations in Pulaski, where in Oswego you're getting more cars. Outside of that, in our pistol permits, we do have a new person who took over our pistol permits, longtime clerk employee, doing a great job. We're continuing on doing our scanning of all of our applications in, so we can go paperless on those. It's going to really be a time saver for the office, which will help us move the lines a little quicker for pistols. Outside of that, if you ever have any questions, stop in.
Good.
So has the volume of pistol permits varied at all?
It's actually dropped down from what it was. Just all it takes is all need to make one more law, pass one law to deal with firearms, and everybody will be running for the door, which I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
And I'm going to talk more to you in executive session.
Next up, we have strategic initiative.
All right, got a couple quick updates. The Arbor project, as you know, everything is moving along real well with that. We're working on actively closing out the projects that have been completed. Almost all the money has been expended at this point, and we are just kind of closing it out by the end of next year. So, if anybody have any questions about ARPA, jump over to broadband. Sir.
Will we get an update showing us what projects?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, yeah, I'm, interested in the link of Chilton, that's what I'm.
Yeah, we can put that together and get that out. Is that okay? Email, we'll send it to clerk's office and get it sent around the legislature.
That'd be nice. I'd like to know where we stand and what we're doing. Thank you very much. We need to slow you down.
No, you're good. Not a problem. We will get that sent over. And then I want to just give a quick update on broadband, the broadband project. I know that's a huge project. It's going to touch a lot of people in our community. And I want to give Kyle a ton of credit. I don't think we realized just how much work was going to be on our side for finalizing this. And again, it makes sense. There's, what's it, 13,000 addresses in this county that are being served by this project, and a very specific route for this broadband network that we're building. So we've had to go back and forth with the state. We meet weekly with them. And through the process, we found that there's just, when you put together 13,000 addresses, when you actually get out there and start to draw your network, you realize, okay, this guy's behind a giant tree, this guy's behind his neighbor's house, and you start to really have to hammer out where the actual route goes. And so we've gotten to the point where Kyle's had to work with them on literally every single one of those 13,000 addresses. In addition to that, we need that, I didn't realize this, but when you're going to run cable on poles, you need permission to put the cable on the pole. And you need to find out who owns that pole, every single pole. You need to figure out what the structural integrity of that pole is going to handle another wire. And that has been a huge project for us as well. So thankfully, we're moving forward on that. This Friday, literally 3 days ago, we got our GDA draft, which is really encouraging because until we have a grant disbursement agreement, we can't ask them to start reimbursing us money that we've been spending. And so this has been Kyle's headache now for at least 6 weeks, but we really have been working with our contractors as well and our consultants. And we believe we're at a place now where our county attorney as well as our contracted attorney will be reviewing the GDA, and assuming it is good to go, we should go to contract with them. So that'll be a huge step forward for all of us. Any questions on that? You can give me specific address questions you can reach out. Yes, sir.
So this difficulty, these delays, do you at this point see it costing any additional funds?
No, we don't believe so. In fact, I'll make one really exciting thing note is that we have been working through purchasing, right, to purchase all the stuff we need for this project. One of the things that we expect to be one of the most expensive projects is going to be actual physical cable, right, fiber optic cable. Well, incredibly, it came in substantially under budget when we bid it. And so we believe that the money that we're going to get back from that will help cover some of these additional expenses that we are looking at with changing the route a little bit. But no, it's actually been encouraging. It's kind of a shock, so.
Yeah.
Now, is that wire coming locally in New York State, do you think?
The wire that they're getting is, I want to say it might come from Corning Glass. I don't remember exactly which model was the one that they were selecting, but there was quite a few different options and bids that came in. Some of them didn't qualify because they didn't have all the necessary documents and stuff like that with their bid, but it's either Corning or there's one other vendor as well.
I'd like to also thank the folks in purchasing. They have done substantially more than I think they expected to. There was a lot more requirements from the federal and state government on how we handled the purchasing piece of it. So our staff has really been helpful in that. We didn't necessarily expect that originally. So I want to thank them. They've been great. Rich has back here.
And I've been in touch with Hawkins Delafield on when the band will go to auction, the bond anticipation notes that will be used for the bridge financing, because this grant is paid in arrears. The county has to spend the money and then it's reimbursed. And we anticipate a lag between spending the money and getting the reimbursement. The bond anticipation notes will provide bridge financing in that regard.
Sure. So the director doesn't know this yet because I just got this call this morning, but we have a meeting set up for the 20th, he and I do, with the state USDA director who wants to know about our broadband project, but more importantly about other projects that are going on with wastewater and everything. I think it's going to be helpful if you can there. So that'll be 20. So I have the chair and director sitting. And then I can just get one, it's a little outside of this committee, but I think it's important because it does work with sharing services with other communities. Probably all remember the high water money that we had, the READY funds from a while back. Well, we've got to the point where we are at GDA, we're going to be closing out and getting reimbursed on all those projects. And they also authorized us to move those funds into a new project, which is the County Route 89 shoreline project. And so at the last legislative meeting, you folks awarded the RFP to Barton and Judas, and we're going to be meeting out there with a bunch of state agencies to kind of start to put together what that restoration project will look like. We're also going to be working out to the town of Oswego and their highway supervisor as well to kind of make sure that it all looks smoothly. Our highway supervisor will be there as well.
89 between Rudy's and Burt's Point is experiencing a lot of erosion on the lakeside and needs to be stabilized.
Now, there's one stretch that's less than a foot from the edge of the cliff to our road.
So is there enough funds expected to do the engineering and the repair?
Yes, we got an excellent price from Barton and Judas, mainly because they worked so closely out there. They were the ones that also designed the Camp Hollis project as well as our Site Energy Trail project, all ready projects, so very familiar with the process. And we have just about $2.5 million total. So the expectation, and what we actually asked them to build was a per extra foot price. So the thought was we're going to go as far as we can with the money. If things come in higher, we'll have to back up a little bit. But the plan is we're going to be able to shore up the section that is in most disrepair regardless. We'll have enough funds for that. Just how close to Rudy's do we get to get the extra money? We expect that to start, the bidding for the project will go out in the fall, and we expected that will start construction in the spring.
Wow, okay. Questions? Next up, we have real property updates.
Yep. Yeah, I have my annual report for you. So we're going to read every page, all 36 of them. I'm just kidding. I have a slideshow to just go over the key things that I just wanted to point out to you. So starting off, exciting with department revenue. We don't make any money. We're a money spending office because we make the tax bills, but we did have a little bit of revenue. This is what it was in 24, slightly bigger than it was in 23. And these are the bills that we produced last year, about 128,000 bill files, but we only printed about half of those. All the school bills get printed by city BOCES, and the villages print their own and everything. So this is really just encompassing mostly the county and city taxes that get printed by us, or by central services, I guess. They get the credit. Page 9 has my fact sheet on it. The database, the website that is utilized by everyone to look up property owner information, had a 50% increase between 23 and 24, most likely because the city did their revow. So a lot more people utilized it, but splits and merges stayed about the same as last year. That's when parcels are divided or combined. So if you're ever wondering why the net total parcels doesn't change that much, it's because we have about the same number of splits as we do combinations. So it all kind of net comes out to about the same. County's equalization rate dropped a little bit more, which bumped up the full market value of the counties significantly, 10%, between 23 and 24. Pages 12 to 13 cover some new tax legislation that went through at the state level. There's 2 housing exemptions that are available now, where you can get a exemption for building multiple dwelling buildings, or adding on to an existing 1 to 2 family residential to add rentable units to it. So two housing exemptions for those purposes to incentivize rental development. There's no fiscal impact to the county unless we opt in. Both of these are opt-in. We'd have to pass a law saying we allow it for county tax purposes. And then there was a change to the volunteer firefighter one. We could pass a law to amend ours to allow for volunteers in neighboring municipalities to be able to still get the exemption if they serve in, if they live in one municipality but serve in the neighboring one, they would still be able to get the exemption. If we wanted to allow that for ours, we just modify our existing local law. These are the levels of assessment across the county for 2025. The only municipalities still at 100 are City of Oswego and the town of West Monroe. Everyone else dropped a little bit more. You can see Constantia, Richland, and Schuylkill are now in the 50s. Schuylkill actually below 50. And that just means that their assessed values are representing that percentage of full market value. The equalization rates actually all did get set. So on this slideshow, there's a little note next to the town of Sandy Creek. That's not actually true anymore. Their equalization rate did get set on the 30th, so just the other day. And you can see, there's something on here? There we go. That's the percent change in estimated full value. And basically what that is showing is that if a municipality had a larger change in value than everybody else, they're probably going to get a larger share in school and county taxes. So specifically, you've got the median here of 6.67% for Hastings, Scriba, and West Monroe. So the thought is if your town is above that for the percentage change in market value, you're probably going to have a higher county tax burden when it gets apportioned out. So that's going to be places like Fulton and Albion, Redfield, Palermo, so on. On page 22 and 23, there's a section on assessment uniformity from the state report. This is showing that 46% of Oswego County is currently achieving that assessment uniformity, meeting the state standard for assessments, which is lower than the state average, though, of 58%. There's this chart on page 22 that covers a lot of these statistics, and I won't get too technical on them, but there's the COD and the PRD are measures of assessment uniformity. If you have a COD that is greater than 20%, that shows that your assessments have poor uniformity. A PRD less than 0.98% means that assessments are progressive. Your low value properties are underassessed and your high value properties are overassessed. And a PRD greater than 1.03 means they're regressive. Your low value properties are overassessed while your high value properties are underassessed. 2 municipalities that I think could benefit from revaluations are the town of Constantia and the town of Sandy Creek. Their CODs are over 40%, approaching 50%. And what that means is that, say a house has a market value of $100,000, it sells for $100,000. You could have an assessment in Constantia and Sandy Creek that is up to 50% off that mark. So it could be 50% overassessed or 50% underassessed. There's just a very wide range of assessments in those 2 towns. And similarly, their PRDs are significantly above 1, which implies they're very regressive. The low value properties are pretty overassessed and the high value properties are underassessed. So I think those 2 communities would benefit greatly from reassessments in the next few years. You can see reassessment activity here has slowed significantly in our county. Only 17% of our municipalities have reassessed since 2022. State average, though, is 37. I sound like a broken record. I keep saying it. There's no value in a reassessment as far as monetary. It doesn't raise more money. So if you just expend money to, create fair assessments, which is valuable, I think it's important. But that's why a lot of places don't do it, is because you spend money to not really see much of a tangible benefit. On page 26, I have a comparison of local assessment budgets. The IAAO and New York State Assessors Association, two assessment organizations, recommend that municipalities spend 1% of their budget on assessment functions. That would mean if the county was an assessing unit, we probably have a budget of about $2.669 million, which is about the same as public defender. Not to call you out, it was just the same. It was close enough to say that's about what it would be. When you add up all of the local assessing units, they come to a little over $1 million. If you were to have them all be at 1%, it'd be closer to 1.4 million. So obviously it is significantly cheaper for the local assessing units to do it and not the county. And 13 out of 24 spent at least 1% of their budget on assessment. Last year's report was at more like 7 out of 24. So there's been some increase in local municipalities spending more on assessment, which is a good thing. On page 31 is a chart of full value tax rates compared for municipalities, or sorry, counties in the central region. The median on this is 6.37, which is Lewis County. And you can see us a few spots below that, pretty close at 6.51. So we're pretty close to the median. And last year's report, our full value tax rate was over 8. So it's come down considerably. Page 35 is just a sum up of all the full value tax rate comparisons. Highest full value tax rate is 43.92. That's dollars per thousand, the usual tax rate. Format, that was City of Fulton last year. Still City of Fulton is the highest full value tax rate. The lowest is Albion at 22.08, still the same as last year. Town of Schuylkill now has the highest average annual tax burden per single family home of a little over $7,000. Last year it was Central Square at the highest, and then the lowest average annual taxes in the village of Sandy Creek, actually, $33.73. Last year was Williamstown, so there's still a pretty big gap in average taxes across the county. I think that was it. So if anyone has any questions, I'd encourage you to read the whole report and ask me any questions you might have, but if there's anything now.
Very thorough, thank you.
No problem. I have more copies too if anyone wanted one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have the public defender.
Yes, thank you. Right now, we are averaging about 70 new cases a week. If this keeps up, we'll be about 500 more than we did last year. However, we actually are in a better place as far as the state and caseload standards. We have acquired a few new people. We have a part-time, a full-time person starting today. We have 2 law grads who just took the bar exam last week. Unfortunately, they won't know till the end of October, early November, how they did, whether they passed or not. But as far as staffing, we are closest we've ever been to fully staffed. So we're looking up at this point.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions? Do we have anything from Senate Council?
Just kind of echoing Brad's sentiments. Brad and I meet, I would say, twice, 3 times weekly, discussing how to shift assigned counsel's burdens onto the public defender. He's always very excited when he hires somebody new or has a new prospect. So we're actively working to try to transfer those cases over that we can, keeping in mind caseload standards and whatnot. We are actively negotiating with the state to re-up the CAFA grant, which funds the CAP program here in Oswego County 100%. So that expires December 2025. So we're actively working to try to get one up and going for January 2026. And we are trying to figure out if it's going to go to the PD fully, keep it with a mix of PD and ACP attorneys. So we're actively trying to work with that and try to figure out the best plan in place to make sure that the county can utilize all of the money fully that the state's willing to offer us.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay. You have anything?
Well, we're all in now, and we figured out where we're putting our posted on, so that's a step.
For unpacking, getting settled, full worker class start August 18th.
We are going to getting ready for November in about a month. We're very grateful that everybody's been helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Bill and Rich. Very helpful.
Buildings are fantastic.
And I, that all that really wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a lot more room up there? I was up there.
Certain areas we have more, but the layout is so much different than our old building, which has pros and cons, but there are our training room, we're going to build early voting that's much more spacious. It's going to work out really, really well. House is a little smaller. We ended up going through a lot of the things in our old warehouse. Decided to, there's some things back there we haven't used, I've worked for Peggy back there. So we were able to work through and make the space work.
There is still some stuff that we feel like there's hard.
They're going to the incinerator, most of them, so it just, we worked with Rick Hilton, so it really didn't make sense to move them over where you are, just to bring them.
Thank you. Next up, we have to have a motion to go into the executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I request an executive session regarding proposed or pending litigation on the Purdue Sackler bankruptcy, Concealed Carry Improvement Act, federal litigation, Theme Station, Addis Ethanol Fulton tax case, and the CNY Raceway bankruptcy case. Also, regarding a proposed sale or acquisition of real property where the price may be affected if made public.
Rich, did you want me to take the steam station at all, or? What do you think you got?
Well, I got it.
All right.